Welcome, Sigma damsels. She walks into a room, not seeking attention, yet somehow she commands it. Her silence speaks louder than words, and her presence is felt long after she's gone. A Sigma female doesn't play by anyone else's rules, she defines her own. The way Sigma females act around men isn't what you'd expect. They don't follow the same script as everyone else, and that's precisely what makes them so captivating. If you're looking for the typical behaviors, you won't find them here. They're deliberate in everything they do, observing, analyzing, and moving with an energy that leaves men both curious and off balance. Being mysterious isn't about what you hide, but about what you subtly reveal. That's the essence of a Sigma female's interactions. She's not interested in impressing or conforming, yet she always leaves an impression. Whether it's her sharp intellect, her quiet confidence, or her refusal to play the games most people do, she stands apart and men can't help but notice. But it's not just about capturing attention, it's about showing up as her authentic self, never bending to fit someone else's mold. And that's where the real intrigue lies. Stay tuned, because what we're about to uncover isn't your typical playbook. It's a deep dive into how Sigma females truly behave around men. Actions that are subtle yet powerful, unexpected yet intentional. Get ready to see the real dynamics behind their mystique. Number 1. They're like human lie detectors in stealth mode. A Sigma female can read a man like he's an open book, even if he thinks he's being mysterious. She notices everything, how his eyes shift when he's nervous, the way his voice subtly changes when he's lying, or even how he avoids certain topics. It's like she's got a built-in radar for human behavior, and it's always switched on. And the wild part? He won't have a clue that she's doing it. She doesn't just listen to his words, she's listening to the pauses between them, dissecting his tone, analyzing his body language, and making mental notes like it's second nature. While he's busy talking about his day or trying to impress her with some story, she's silently weighing every little detail, assessing if he's worth any more of her time. If something's off, even the slightest inconsistency, she'll clock it faster than he can finish his sentence. And the whole time, she'll keep a straight face, acting as if nothing's out of place. It's not that she's paranoid or distrusting, she's just wired to observe. And let's be real, men aren't always the smoothest when trying to hide things. He might think he's being slick, but she already knows the game, and she's light years ahead. He could be thinking he's winning her over, while she's already figured out if he's a keeper or if she's going to mentally file him away under "nice try, buddy." In her head, it's like a puzzle, and she loves putting the pieces together. The way he carries himself, the inconsistencies in his stories, even his texting habits when they're apart, it's all data she's quietly collecting. And by the time he thinks he's impressed her, she's already solved the mystery of who he is, whether he knows it or not. And the best part? She doesn't even need to call him out. She'll let him keep talking, all while she's fully aware of who she's dealing with. Number 2, they don't bend over backwards to please. A Sigma female isn't the type to bend over backward just to make a guy happy. If he's expecting her to cater to his every whim, he's got another thing coming. She's not about to drop everything to answer his texts immediately, switch up her schedule for him, or agree with his every opinion just to keep the peace. That's not how she operates. She's got her own life, her own priorities, and frankly, she's not here to babysit anyone's ego. When a guy tries to push her buttons, whether it's by testing her limits or seeing how far he can go with his demands, she'll let him know where the line is, subtly but firmly. He might suggest last-minute plans, expecting her to be all for it. But if she's already got her own thing going on, she won't hesitate to say no. She doesn't feel the need to justify herself either. No big explanation, no long-winded excuses, just a simple, confident, "That doesn't work for me, and that's that." Her ability to stay true to herself is what makes her so different. She doesn't lose herself in relationships or try to mold into someone else's idea of perfection. She's got her own standards, and she's not about to compromise them just to keep a guy around. And honestly, it can be a little jarring for men who are used to women falling in line or bending to make things easy. But that's where the Sigma female separates herself from the crowd. She's not here to make things easy. She's here to keep things real. Now don't get it twisted. She's not cold or unfeeling. She just values mutual respect over one-sided devotion. If he respects her time and space, she'll return the favor. But if he's looking for someone to be at his beck and call, well, let's just say he's going to have a very lonely wait. She knows her worth, and anyone who's going to be in her life needs to know it too. Number 3. They play the mirror game, but with intent. When a Sigma female starts mirroring a man's body language or speech, she's not just doing it for fun. It's her way of testing the waters, seeing if the connection has any real substance. If he leans in, she'll lean in just slightly. If he crosses his arms, she might do the same a few moments later. But make no mistake, this isn't some subconscious act. She's fully aware of what she's doing, and it's all part of her strategy. She's gathering data, plain and simple. It's not that she's mimicking him like a parrot, she's playing at his level. If he's relaxed, she'll mirror that ease. If he's more formal, she'll adapt accordingly. It's almost like a dance, except she's not just following along, she's leading him without him even knowing. And here's the thing, mirroring isn't about flattery for her, it's about building rapport while staying in control of the interaction. She's got this almost invisible way of making him feel like they're on the same page, when really, she's the one setting the tempo. Even in conversation, she'll slip in some of his phrases or expressions, not to flatter his ego, but to test how aligned they really are. If he starts using more complex language, she'll match it. If he throws out a bit of slang, she'll meet him halfway with a sprinkle of her own. But if he thinks this is just her trying to impress him, he's missing the point. She's doing it to see if he's adaptable, to figure out how quickly he picks up on her energy. And if he can't keep up, she'll notice that too, without saying a word. At the end of the day, the mirroring is just a tool in her arsenal. She's figuring out the dynamics without giving anything away. It's a subtle move, but it tells her everything she needs to know about him, how he reacts to her presence, whether he's comfortable in his own skin or if he's just faking it to keep up. And the whole time she's playing it cool, not letting on that she's 3 steps ahead, quietly calling the shots in this silent game of reflection. Ladies, if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit subscribe and share the video with your friends and family. Let's spread the word and keep the conversation going. Number 4. They don't trash talk their exes. That's weak energy. A Sigma female has zero interest in bad-mouthing her exes, not because she's all about peace and love, but because dragging someone through the mud is just a waste of her time and energy. She's got better things to focus on than rehashing old drama. To her, talking trash about an ex is a sign of weakness, and if there's one thing she won't tolerate in herself, it's looking like she's hung up on the past. When it comes to her previous relationships, she's like a vault. Sure, they happened, and sure, she might have learned a thing or two, but you're not going to hear the details. If a guy tries to fish for dirt, thinking he'll bond with her over some shared bitterness, he's going to be disappointed. She's not going to sit around swapping sob stories about how terrible her ex was because, honestly, she's over it. She doesn't let her past relationships define her, and she certainly won't let them dictate how she moves forward. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, she's all about what she can learn. Maybe her exes weren't perfect, let's be real, they weren't. But she doesn't see the point in dwelling on it. Every relationship, good or bad, has added to her growth. So when she walks away from a situation, she does so with her head held high, not with a string of complaints and a victim mentality. Her attitude is simple. Why give an ex more attention than they deserve? If she's moved on, then they're out of sight, out of mind. And honestly, the guy she's with now should be grateful she doesn't bring that baggage into the new relationship. She's not going to burden him with the ghosts of relationships past, and she definitely won't use her exes as some kind of benchmark for how he should or shouldn't behave. If anything, her refusal to talk badly about her exes shows just how unbothered she is. She doesn't need to put someone down to lift herself up. She's more than capable of standing on her own without any messy stories to back her. And let's be real, her silence on the subject speaks volumes. While others might waste their breath on old grudges, she's moved on to bigger and better things, without looking back. Number 5, no masks, no acts. She's authentically herself. A Sigma female doesn't do the whole pretending to be someone she's not thing. She's not interested in putting on an act just to fit in or make a guy like her more. What you see is what you get. If she's into something quirky or unconventional, she'll own it. She doesn't change her interests, personality, or opinions to match anyone else's expectations. And here's the kicker, she's not even trying to be rebellious or difficult. It's just that authenticity is her default mode. She's the type who'll tell you straight up if she doesn't like something, without sugarcoating it. She's not going to fake enthusiasm for things she couldn't care less about. If she's never seen that show everyone's raving about, she's not going to pretend she's obsessed with it just to fit in with the conversation. She's comfortable enough in her own skin to let people know exactly who she is, flaws and all. And this honesty isn't just with interests or opinions. She's real about her emotions too. She doesn't hide behind a mask of always being fine or okay if she's not. But she's not going to dramatize things either. If something's bothering her, she'll say it. No games, no guessing. And if a guy is expecting her to be someone who tiptoes around her truth just to make him feel better, he's got the wrong girl. What's funny is, by being so unapologetically herself, she often catches people off guard. In a world where so many are faking it to fit in, her bluntness can be refreshing or intimidating, depending on how secure the person is. But she's not trying to intimidate. She just doesn't have the patience to be anything other than herself. If a guy is into her, it's going to be because he's attracted to who she truly is, not some watered-down version of herself that she's put together for his benefit. She's not about to change her style, her opinions, or her habits to win someone over. She's well aware that pretending to be someone else is exhausting and never ends well. So, she saves herself the trouble and shows up as herself from day one, knowing that the right person will appreciate her for exactly who she is. Number 6. Conversation comes easy, but she's not impressed by small talk. When a Sigma female gets into a conversation with a guy, she does it effortlessly. She's not the type to stumble over her words or fumble for something interesting to say. Whether it's a deep discussion about life or some light banter about the latest weird trend, she knows how to flow with the conversation like it's second nature. But here's the thing, she's not doing it to impress him. She genuinely engages because she's curious and frankly sharp as a tack. She's got this cool ability to keep the conversation going without ever feeling forced or awkward. It's like she reads the room and adapts to the vibe, whether he's throwing out jokes, sharing something personal, or just talking about his day. She listens, really listens, and responds with thought, wit, or humor, depending on what's needed. She's not one of those people who are just waiting for their turn to talk. Nope, she's actively tuned in, and when she speaks, it's with intention. Now, she's not going to dominate the conversation or try to outsmart him at every turn, but she's also not going to sit there nodding along like a robot. If something piques her interest, she'll dive in with her own perspectives. And if something seems off or shallow, she's not afraid to call it out with a bit of dry humor. She has this way of balancing depth and lightness, where a conversation with her can go from profound 1 minute to hilarious the next, all without skipping a beat. And because she's so natural in the way she interacts, the guy might not even realize how easily he's opening up to her. She's got that energy that makes people comfortable enough to share more than they intended, without feeling like they've been tricked into spilling their guts. It's just her way. She can make even the simplest exchange feel meaningful. But don't get it twisted. Just because she's good at conversation doesn't mean she'll suffer through boring or pointless chatter. If things start getting repetitive or the conversation stalls in some mindless territory, she'll subtly steer it in a new direction. Or if the guy's really off his game, she'll politely check out without making a fuss. She knows her time is valuable and she's not about to waste it on words that go nowhere. Number 7, her personal. Problems? You'll never know they exist. When a Sigma female sits down for a conversation with a guy, she's not about to unload all her personal baggage. She's learned that dragging every little problem into the dialogue only makes things messier. So she leaves the drama at the door and instead keeps the conversation smooth, focused, and surprisingly light. It's not that she's hiding anything or pretending her life is perfect, far from it. She just knows how to compartmentalize. If she had a rough day at work or is dealing with something frustrating, You won't hear about it the minute she sits down. She's not looking to dump her emotional garbage on the guy and turn the conversation into a therapy session. For her, there's a clear line between what she's working through privately and what she shares openly. It's all about timing. She understands that some things don't belong in every conversation, and she's wise enough to hold back when it's not the right moment. This doesn't mean she's emotionally unavailable or cold. She's just selective. When she does choose to open up, it's meaningful. But most of the time, she prefers to keep things light and interesting. If she senses the conversation is veering into territory where her personal stressors might come up, she'll steer it back to something more neutral or engaging. She's a master at shifting gears, making sure the exchange stays enjoyable rather than devolving into a pity party. And here's the kicker: guys actually appreciate it. In a world where so many people dump their issues onto others without thinking twice, it's refreshing to be with someone who doesn't treat every conversation like an emotional venting session. The Sigma female knows that not every moment is meant to be heavy, and she's not here to bring unnecessary drama into the mix. Instead, she keeps things grounded, making the time together feel more like an escape than a burden. Number 8. Men don't get special treatment. They're just people. A Sigma female doesn't roll out the red carpet for men. She treats them the same as she treats anyone else, and that's what throws them off. There's no special treatment, no bending over backward to impress, and certainly no falling into the trap of trying to win their approval. She's just as likely to engage in conversation with the quiet person in the corner as she is with the most confident guy in the room. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about not playing at all. When a guy meets her, he quickly realizes she's not putting him on some pedestal like he might be used to. If he's expecting her to hang on his every word or stroke his ego, he's in for a surprise. She sees him as just another person, no more, no less. And that's what drives some men crazy. They're not used to someone who's so unaffected by their charm or status. The Sigma female simply doesn't care about all that surface-level stuff. She's not impressed by titles, flashy cars, or smooth talk. What matters to her is character, depth, and authenticity. If he's not bringing any of that to the table, she'll treat him with the same respect as anyone else, but don't expect her to fawn over him. That neutrality is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's what makes her so compelling. She's not falling into the usual dynamics of dating or attraction, and that makes men curious. On the other hand, it means they have to work a little harder to prove they're worth her time. She's not dismissive, just disinterested in the nonsense. So, if a guy is hoping for special attention just because he showed up, he'll quickly realize that's not happening here. She'll engage with him, sure, but in the same cool, collected way she interacts with everyone else. And that's her strength. She's not going to let someone's gender, status, or charm dictate how she behaves. Whether she's speaking to a man, a woman, a CEO, or a barista, she brings the same energy. It's that level playing field that makes her interactions so different. She doesn't need to play nice to get what she wants. She's already got it together. And that confidence? It's more attractive than any game of cat and mouse could ever be. Thanks, beautiful damsels, for tuning in. See you in the next vid. Bye, and stay blessed.